today we're actually going to talk about how elements can be classified. So what we have right here on this periodic table, there are three ways that elements can be classified. If you look to the left, we have our largest group up here, metals, and we're going to look at those characteristics in a second. You also have to the right the nonmetals. They're orange on this periodic table. And then you have these special elements right in the middle, and I call this the stair-step line. They are metalloids, and they are elements that have characteristics of both metals and nonmetals. Let's start first of all with metals. Metals, as I said before, they are the largest group on the periodic table. They're found on the left side of the periodic table. They're great conductors. That means electricity will flow through them and heat will pass through these materials. Another characteristic is ductile. And ductile vocabulary word means to take the metal and turn it into a thin wire. Okay, so like when you go to Lowe's and you go buy some wire for a project, that right there, the metal has been formed into that thin wire. Luster. Luster is another vocabulary word that identifies metals. It means that it's shiny, it reflects. Okay? Malleable. Malleable means I'm going to take the metal and I'm able to hammer it into a particular shape or into sheets. And the last thing I want to identify with metals is the most reactive metal ever out there on the periodic table, and that's francium. Francium, when you expose it to water, it will explode immediately. Nonmetals, characteristics. First of all, they're kind of dull. They're not shiny at all. They're brittle, so if I were to pick it up, it's going to break easy. They are poor conductors. That means heat and electricity will not pass through these materials. Most of the nonmetals that are found on the periodic table are usually a gas at room temperature. They're found on the right-hand side of the periodic table, and the most reactive nonmetal is fluorine. Notice the two elements with the F. Francium is the most reactive metal. Fluorine is the most reactive nonmetal. Metalloids. These are elements that are on that right in the middle of the periodic table. On your periodic table there is a big bold black line, and the metalloids basically have characteristics of both metals and nonmetals. If they're found to the left of the line, then they typically will have metal characteristics. If they're found to the right of the line, they typically will have nonmetal characteristics. So the elements listed that are metalloids are boron, silicon, germanium, arsenic, lead, antimony, tellurium, polonium, and astatine. Alright, so periodic trends. When I go across and I look at the periodic table, as I move from the very top of the periodic table all the way down, moving from top to bottom, my reactivity does increase. Okay? But if you move from left to right, my reactivity decreases. So, as I go from top to bottom, I increase in reactivity, but as I move from left to right, I decrease. Now size. As I move down a column, my elements get bigger. Okay? They're adding more shells, more valence electrons are in there, so therefore my size is getting larger. As you move from left to right, though, the size decreases due to that magnetic attraction, that pulling in of those electrons towards the nucleus. Now let's look at some families and groups. Okay? So the very first group we're going to look at is called the alkali metals. I think of A starting with the alphabet. It's the very first column to the left. It's group 1A. And group 1A has 1 valence electrons. Their reactivity increases from top to bottom. So as you go down, notice francium. There is the most reactive metal on the periodic table, and it's in group 1A, which are the alkali metals. Notice also that hydrogen is not considered or classified as an alkali metal. Yes, it's in that column, but it is not classified as an alkali metal. okay, due to its non-metal properties. It is classified as a non-metal. The next group, group 2A, is the alkaline earth metals. Another easy way to remember it, A for beginning of the alphabet, also A for starting, going from left to right across the periodic table. We had the alkaline metals, now we're having the alkaline earth metals. So that's two words, alkaline earth, group 2A. Group 2A also has 2 valence electrons. And some of the most common elements that are found in the alkaline earth are calcium, which is important for your bones and your teeth, and also found in shells. Boron family. We're going to skip over to group 3A. Remember, we're bypassing those down below that are the transition metals. So boron is group 3A. You can see to the side the picture listing all the elements in the boron family. It has basically 3 valence electrons. An important fact about one of the elements found in the boron family is aluminum. And aluminum is the most abundant metal found in the earth. Carbon. Carbon family is next. Carbon is group 4A. And carbon has 4 valence electrons. Okay? And one of the elements that's found in the carbon family, of course, is carbon. And carbon is noted as the element of life. All living organisms have some form of carbon identified in their structure. Okay? A lot of people think it's oxygen, but oxygen is not the element of life. It helps support life, but it's not the element of life. Carbon is. The next family is nitrogen. Nitrogen is group 5A. It has 5 valence electrons. And again, an important fact there, nitrogen is 78% of the air. So the gas nitrogen is 78% of the Earth's atmosphere that we have in there. Another big component that's in there, if you look also in the nitrogen family, both nitrogen and phosphorus, element 15 right there, they are the main components that are found in our common fertilizers that we have in order to add nutrients back into the soils. Okay, the next family is the oxygen family, and this is group 6A. It has 6 valence electrons, and oxygen again is the most abundant element in the Earth's crust. Okay. The next group, kind of a neat funky name, it's called the halogen group. And the halogen group is group 7A, has 7 valence electrons. But these elements right here are typically going to form salts. Okay? They are very reactive with metals. They typically will react with probably group 1A, with 7A. And the most reactive halogen that we have up there is fluorine. The last group is the noble gases or the inert gases, and they are group 8A. They have 8 valence electrons. They're very stable. All their shells are full. They're very happy. They're very content. Every now and then, though, you'll find an element might combine with something else, but that is on a rare occasion. Okay? All right, and that's our notes for this unit. If you have any questions, just let me know. All right, thank you.